Hello friends, this is the Cryptonian taking a look at not Bitcoin but the Nasdaq today. Now I know you're probably thinking, why the Nasdaq? Well, that's a good question, and the reason is you may not know, but the Nasdaq, which is a tech heavy index, is correlated to Bitcoin. Okay? And the reason is because the market is looking at Bitcoin at this time and treating it like a tech stock. Okay? Why? Because, well, Bitcoin is primarily technology, right? Blockchain, etc. It's blockchain technology. So that being said, that's why we're taking a look at the Nasdaq. This is the Nasdaq 100 index. And so what you may notice are these yellow lines. And so when we scroll back, when we look back in the history, we can see that there was a, whoops, let me move this out of the way. We can see that there was a multi-year peak, over a decade run, and then we had a resistance where we couldn't pass that, and then we started going down. That started a over 1 year bear market or correction. Okay, so this level up here is significant resistance. That being said, we're seeing overbought values on the RSI. These red circles show that the RSI is elevated, and by standards, the price of the Nasdaq, the tech stocks, are expensive in relative terms. Also, what I'd like you to notice here is that we had expansion through this area, which is here, and then we had another expansion recently right here, bringing us very close to this big resistance line, and we're overbought, expensive. This is a formula for at least sideways consolidation or a pullback, a correction. So this expansion on our Cryptonian volatility mod expansion tool is weaker than the previous expansion. So what this tells me is that this price action is getting weaker. So we could be getting close to some type of a consolidation and then breakdown, right? And markets don't go up forever. The Nasdaq is up from the local bottom 50%. So that being said, the the participants in the market, they're going to want to get paid, right? So that being said, another tool that I'd like to bring your attention to is this comparison tool between, I set it up, I coded it myself. I set it up to compare the Nasdaq, the relationship between the Nasdaq and Bitcoin. And right now it's coming in at a 6.5. That is sufficiently correlated. What that means is that there is a sufficient correlation between the Nasdaq market and Bitcoin, which makes sense because Bitcoin is looked at as a tech stock, right? Kind of like a tech stock because it's technology. It's treated that way, as a high-risk tech stock. And so that being said, if the Nasdaq turns around and goes into a correction, which then we're going to see like a red cloud instead of a green cloud. This is a green cloud, which is an uptrend, and the trend changes to a red cloud, decreasing in price. That means profit taking, that means short selling, and that means, frankly, most likely a pullback, a dip in, or a decrease in price for Bitcoin. And because the altcoins are correlated to Bitcoin, the altcoins then will be affected more so than Bitcoin, because we've seen that, right? Altcoins pull back 2 or 3 times greater than Bitcoin does when Bitcoin starts a downtrend. And you may have seen that recently with Bitcoin losing its current trading range, right? So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. I don't want to make this video very long, but We're seeing a correlation here between Bitcoin and the Nasdaq, and that's not surprising. And so if this starts to lose momentum and turn around, which this does suggest, okay, this tool down here, the Cryptonian volatility mod, suggests, then it's going to be risky to be in Bitcoin at this time. Now, again, this is not investment advice. Could we continue to go up and actually hit this? We could, but we need to remember that, Bitcoin has not been making higher highs, local highs, or trending higher as this has been recently because of the fact that it's been in a sideways channel. It's run into heavy resistance. So that being said, we could see higher risk in Bitcoin, higher risk of more downside selling pressure and short selling pressure, and lower prices for Bitcoin. So be aware of that. I'm not giving you investment advice. I'm just trying to help you understand kind of where we are in a cycle and what's potentially coming, right? Now, maybe the best case scenario is that if the Nasdaq does come back down, then Bitcoin would go down maybe a little bit lower and then just go sideways as the Nasdaq is decreasing. But I really don't see that. I really don't see that. These are sufficiently correlated that I think it would negatively impact Bitcoin, and Bitcoin would be coming down in price as the Nasdaq trends down as well. So keep that in mind. Be safe. You don't want to take unnecessary risk. And so I do think that it's very possible that this scenario could play out, especially with the Fed meeting coming up on Wednesday. If the Fed does increase the interest rate another 0.25%, that's not going to be good for the markets, right? So, and that is actually the projected outcome of this Wednesday's meeting. The Cleveland Fed is projecting or predicting a 0.25% increase. We won't really know until that occurs, but just be aware. We're going to see a lot of volatility in the short term, and possibly in the long term we could see a reversal in markets. That could take some weeks, and lower prices could be the result. So just wanted to put that out there, give you a heads up, a warning. Thank you for your time. If you find that this information is valuable, please do me a favor. Click like, subscribe if you'd like more information like this in the future. And I appreciate your viewership. Thank you for your time. It really helps me out as a new channel, getting started here. And so thank you for your participation, your time, and clicking like. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks, friends.